Hello, my beautiful gemstones. Welcome to Tuesday's Afternoon Talk with myself and Ghostdragonzw. Yeah, Nicole, the afternoon show kind of like everyone trickles in slowly, but we try to give people that otherwise can't be with us throughout the week. Like we stream almost every day. I think Sunday and Monday are the only days we don't have something going on. So good to see you all. Slow Motion and Edna, Nicole Perone, John P. Adventure. So just to put it out there, no, Slow Motion, we were thinking maybe nobody was going to come, so we were waiting to see before we got started. I just did a short and it's called Girl Math, and it was meant to be like a funny thing, a joke, and I had to put my I decided to put my age at the bottom of the screen, and I put the wrong age. I don't know why I aged myself by a year, but I just want to let you guys know, because you guys know I am not in fact 42. So I turned the comments off and I was like, people are going to come at me for that. But it's not like I made myself younger. I was just in a hurry and I was trying to I try to get 2 shorts done a day if I can. Oh, thank you, Mr. Adventures. Let's bring in the Ghost Dragons. I have something that's been happening to me that has nothing to do with daylight savings for the past few days. And I can't find anything about it on the internet. So I wanted to talk to you guys about it. And see if any of you have experienced this before, because it doesn't sound like it's anything big, but I feel like it is. And I feel like something's happening. So let me bring him in, let him say his highs, and let us know what's going on with you all too.
Hi, I'll shut up now.
Yeah, Nicole, I don't know. I don't know why I did that. I was like, why? You know why I think? Because the girl, the whole skit, the girl was saying that she's 32. Even like, so I was thinking 32, 42 instead of 41. I don't know. I don't know why I did it, but I know that there's going to be some Karens in there. And I'm so sorry to people that are actually named Karen, but there are going to be people like that in there that are going to be like, so I'm like, whatever, comments off. So here's the deal. On Sunday, I just realized it was daylight savings. So when it happened Sunday morning for the first time, it was daylight savings. I just didn't realize it. But for the past few days and nights, especially the middle of the night, but it's happened while I was wide awake too. I've been awake every time it's happened, but in the middle of the night, people can say, well, you might have been, sleeping or whatever. So I'll look at the clock, for instance, and it'll be 5:30. And I'll go and I'll get some work done without looking at the clock for like an hour. And then I'll look at the clock and it's 4:30. It's really bizarre. And then I'll look at the clock again a few minutes later because I'm confused and it's 6 o'clock. It's like I'm going backwards. I don't know. I know it sounds really bizarre. But it has been happening enough that it's starting to really make me feel uncomfortable. I'm like, am I slipping? Am I time slipping or time surfing somehow? Hey, Miss Maraid, good to see you, sweetie. I don't know. I've been looking into it, but I can't find anything. So I put in the internet supernatural explanation. I look at the time, and when I look at it later, it's earlier. I get the show Supernatural, the difference between then and than. I don't know where that comes from. And seeing like 11:11 on the clock, which is not what I'm talking about at all. So I just have a feeling it's paranormal. And usually when I have these feelings, I'm right. So it's so weird. It really gives me a creepy feeling about like, just creepy.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Like I said, I've had that before, where I woke up at 4 o'clock and looked at the clock, said 4 o'clock, laid back down. No, I rocked. No, I slept. And then we get back up and it says 4 o'clock still. And it's like, I even get up and check the battery to make sure the clock did.
Yeah, like what is going on? Like, am I asleep? I can't possibly be doing this that much. Hey, Mark. I forgot to change some of my clocks, so I've been confused. What confused me on Sunday was that I thought I woke up at 10:20 because I sleep pretty late on Sundays. Because I'm up at 6:30 in the morning every other day, including Saturday for the most part. I may get to sleep till 7 if RJ sleeps in. And then when I went downstairs to get something to eat, it had to have been like an hour later. It was 9:20, but all my clocks were the right time. So that's why I wasn't sure. I've never known my husband to change the clocks on daylight savings. It's always up to me. So Ghostdragonzw just told me that Sunday was daylight savings. So that's why that happened. But ever since that happened, it's been happening more and more. Last night, I looked at the clock at, I don't know the exact times, but I'll just say at like 1:30. And then I laid down to go to sleep. And when I woke up again, I checked the clock. It was 11:30. It's just really bizarre.
Maybe you're trying to maybe something's trying to correct itself.
I don't know. I've had a lot of interesting visits. I would say 4 people that I was super duper close with in my life who all passed away in the last 2 or 3 years. I've been getting more visits from them. So I'm going to show you guys something. I have this notebook called the Magic Notebook for Answers. And automatic writing works with any book, but I wanted to show you guys something. So with automatic writing, one thing I've learned is to close your eyes when it's happening, because you'll be able, sometimes you can't read what they're writing. But if you keep your eyes closed and you focus, you can feel by the strokes of the pen or pencil what they're writing. So I opened up my book and I got to find it. Here it is. I opened up my book. I was very frustrated. I was crying. I was upset. And the advice, there's one sentence. You're supposed to like ask a question to the universe, and whatever page you open up to, that'll be your advice. So follow someone else's lead, accept a change to your routine, give it all you've got, etc. I opened up to be patient. And I had a best friend. His name was also Steve, which is funny. He was much, much older. I've always gotten along with older people. He died a few weeks before his 75th birthday of cancer in 2019. I have not been able to see him. I haven't been able to see him or connect with him really at all. And Damien's biological father died of an overdose in January of 2021 or 2021. Because it was when Gary passed as well.
That's right. 2 years.
A month before my stepfather passed from complications due to the virus.
2 years, man.
And then in July of that year, a very, very good close friend of mine that I also had a romantic relationship with that used to come and stream as Call Me Mr. Flintstone also passed away of an OD. So I have not been able to see or really communicate at all with these 4 people. So anyway, I'm crying. I've got my pen on the paper, but I'm not really planning on writing anything. And I close my eyes and I'm just like, I'm tired of being patient. I'm so lonely. The pen starts moving. I go with it. You can't really read it, but it says, I'm here. Right here. Come on. I hate the camera, how everything's backwards. Right here, it says, I'm here. And I wrote, because I said, I'm lonely. I asked, who is this? I said, is this Steve? Because I just had a feeling. And it wrote, yes. And I wrote, do you have any advice? Like, what can I do? And I put my hand on the paper and he pointed to be patient. So I said, I'm tired of being patient. And he drew me a heart. So as creepy as it was very comforting. So I asked, will I ever get to my beach house? Like, is what I'm doing for a living, is it ever going to get me where I want to go with it? And in big capital letters, he wrote YES. And I feel like this has something to do with the time. I just feel like it has something to do with the time slips and all the glitching. Yeah, Nicole, that was a shock. He was my best friend since I was like 12. And actually how I met him was he was best friends with my oldest 2 sons, their father, my ex-husband. They were best friends. They were like brothers. And then once Jeff, Damien's father, found out the situation of why my ex-husband and I really split up, what he was doing to me, he was like, I don't go for that. Screw him. And he and I got together. But we were always more like friends than anything else. That just happened to have a baby, And then 6 months later, when Billy passed away, I remember a month before Billy passed away, he hadn't spoken to me for like a month. And we were close friends. It wasn't anything romantic. We weren't planning on getting back together. I had gotten him into a long-term rehabilitation program here in Jersey. He was traveling the country in a van doing shady stuff for I'll say drugs, but I'm only going to say that once because I don't want to get demonetized. I don't know what he was really doing. He wouldn't share it with me. But I remember all like June, he didn't speak to me at all. He didn't comment. He didn't come in the streams. And for like the past 8 months, we had been talking pretty much every day. Just say hi, let me know you're good. And then once Damien's dad passed, I got really like protective of him. Like, you can't die, you can't die, you can't die. And what's up, Munchie girl? And in June, I didn't hear from him. And I remember like freaking out when he called me. I'm like, don't do that to me again. You know, I just lost Jeff. And he's like, I'm not going to die on you. Like, I was locked up. I'm like, okay, don't do that again. I didn't hear from him again for 3 weeks. And our mutual friend said to me, Gems, do you know what happened to Billy? I said, no, but let me tell you what's going to happen to Billy. I'm going to, you know what, him, because he did not get back to me in 3 weeks. And he's like, he passed away in a hotel in Ohio, and his parents didn't tell anyone until after they buried him. Anyway, that was very tragic for me because up to that point where Damien's father, my stepfather, and then Billy all passed away, I had people die, but I'm not a person that just grieves because someone in my family passes. Yes, I grieve for the people who are grieving, but doing what I can do and being who I am, I'll see them again much faster than anyone else will. And I know that they're okay. And I know they're on the other side. So grief for me is something completely different. Grief for me was the fact that I didn't get to see them. I knew they were okay because my guides told me, and I was good with that knowledge, but not being able to see them. So having that connection with my friend Steve was really, it was really good for me. But then this time slipping thing started to happen. So yes, we are definitely a pair. Nicole said, maybe stay home for a bit so it doesn't happen when you're out. Has anything else noticed you acting weird? No. Anyone else? No.
She's always weird. She's always weird.
Well, that's the thing. I'm always such a weirdo. I do notice myself more often commenting to things people are thinking instead of like they didn't say it out loud.
Right.
And like I'm usually pretty good control of that. If I catch a thought or two, like shutting it off, because I don't believe in digging in people's heads like that. And it gives me a headache. But I've noticed myself not realizing that's what I'm doing. Like normally I get the headache and then I get what you're thinking. But this is something different. It's like the person's talking to me. And over the phone, I can't tell if their mouth is moving or not. So I will respond to this thought process. And so there's something going on with me for sure. It just feels creepy. I don't think it's going to end up being a bad thing overall, but it feels really creepy.
Did you get your stuff today?
I didn't go downstairs yet.
It's down there. It was
okay.
Delivered.
Awesome. Thank you. Guys, just so you know, I don't think, so this is going to be the last time in the foreseeable future, but I don't think Intuitive Oracle is happening this weekend. It's the last weekend of my mom's move. So unless I can convince my husband to get home early on Thursday and put our child to bed, like get home and stay home by 6:30, I'm not going to be able to do it. But he might do it for me if I ask him. He might. So tentatively, there might be no Oracle. If there is Oracle, it's going to be a treat for y'all. It's going to be a day early this week on Thursday. Now, the last weekend, my mom is leaving her house and coming 15 minutes away from me to live with my aunt and uncle on Sunday. So that's the last week I have to go there and help move. And I don't mind. It's just like now it's become like a job. Like I love being at my mom's house. I would help her no matter how easy or hard it was. All she needs to do is ask. So I don't want her to think I'm saying anything bad. But I will be relieved once the move is done.
Moving's such a pain in the butt.
It is. It really is. And it frustrates me because I feel like other people could be helping her more. But I always tell her, like, don't worry. At the end of the day, if we all have to do it ourselves, it doesn't matter. Like, I got you. I will not leave you do this. But, you know, she takes me up on it. Who else is she going to turn to? So it's a lot of work. Plus, I always have RJ. So that's a lot harder, which Ghostdragonzw. That's why on the weekends when I'm there and you keep him busy on the PS4, it's such a big help because then he's not in everything.
I wonder what
He's
babysitters charge nowadays.
I know, I know. I was wondering when you were going to ask to get paid.
Yeah, and so let me get this right.
Go ahead.
Possibly none this weekend. No oracles this week, possibly, because I don't count on Thursdays. Okay, and then your mom is actually moving on the 31st, right?
No, she's leaving her house this Sunday.
Weekend. Okay.
She might want to go back the last weekend of March to clean up a little bit before she hands the keys in. Right. But as far as everything being moved out, I might go and help her clean the baseboards, wipe down, because she's, you know how she is. She's very, retentive about that stuff. But I can probably convince her not to do that. We may be able to just get that stuff done. I know, Munchie. I hate missing Oracle. And in the 3.5 years or so that we've been doing Oracle, that I've been doing Oracle, I've only missed 4, and 3 of those have been in the last year. It's my mom moving. That is, I got to be honest, that is the whole issue, is her moving, because she needs to watch my son for me while I stream. And because she has so much left to do and we have to have it done by Sunday, she can't work. We're going to be working and moving at that time.
It's going to be a busy weekend.
Hopefully Ray will come through for me. He usually does if he knows it's really important, but I can never, until I actually ask him, I can never guarantee what he's going to say. He's not very happy about my career. He doesn't, and I'm not saying anything wrong about my husband. We're just on a different level, but Miss Munchie Chipmunk, don't worry about it. Cause what I do is I normally will give newcomers, personal readings. So while you won't get one for April, if you continue to come in, you more than likely will be chosen for a free personal for May. I kind of do that to show my appreciation. Don't worry about being late. Better late than pregnant. I don't know. That's just what I say. I just did email you back twice, not realizing both accounts were you. I'm not good at putting 2 and 2 together. Ghosty, I will let you speak for one in a minute, but I want to tell Aunt Edna, I'm on a roll right now. I messaged Blue Crossroads yesterday, and I said, listen, I wanted to reach out to you first. I wanted you to know that I was thinking about you, and I was worried that maybe you're not okay because you weren't in chat and I haven't heard from you. And he just messaged back, I'm fine. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to push and pry and be like, no, you're not fine. I just know that when I say I'm fine, I want to be left alone. So I didn't push, but I did reach out and he did respond. Yeah, Edna, I really wish we can get to the bottom of, I just feel like you have abductions in here. I do. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to be honest. I think they watch over her. She has a relationship with the critters around her house, a very good relationship. I don't think she quite understands that there are a certain type of, she had a fae encounter when she was young. If you remember.
A what?
Right.
A fae encounter, yes.
And I think they still watch over her.
I believe that too. I would believe that if you have an encounter with the fae, it's usually because they want you to have that encounter. I mean, I literally wrote the book on fairies, right? But here's the thing. I also feel, Aunt Edna, that you have an ET connection. Your abilities and the fact, too, that like you don't really want to deal with them, that could be something ingrained in you. You probably more than likely, as most of us do, have some sort of ET blood in our bloodline. The list goes on and on. Pleiadian and Syrian always come to my head. I believe I'm Pleiadian, but I have a list. I wanted to talk about it when I talked about Galactic Federation, but I never got that far because in my personal life, I was made to feel basically that talking about that kind of stuff, I'm an insane person who is unfit to be a parent. That statement was made to me when I started talking about that. So I got a little trauma around it, but I'm working on it. And I do at the very least want to go over the different species of ETs, like the main 10 that we share a bloodline with. And it's depending on your experience, what you believe, Munchie, keep coming in. And I'm telling you, it's good for the soul. I don't know how our chat became what it is, but I'm so glad, no, ours, because I couldn't do it without you. Literally, I wouldn't be able to pay attention. I used to do it myself, and I used to do double readings. I don't know how I did it, like how I kept track. I also used to pull like the extra card. It just became a thing of its own, but I'm glad it did, because I feel like it's a safe spot for a lot of people, like when they need to vent and come in and just feel safe.
Well, see, I still want to do an Oracle stream on Rumble.
And we are going to get to that. As soon as Mom's moved, we're going to work that out.
Only because I'm not going to do stream and YouTube at the same time. Can you imagine that list, me trying to keep that list of 2 different station channels?
I'm also going to be doing
platforms
Oracle just for members as well.
Yes.
That's something that's coming. That's something that I did promise in members only. The memberships. I am getting to everything that was promised in the memberships, slowly building on it. I never expected to even have members.
I knew you would.
Yeah, Edna, I knew it. I knew it was hidden in there somewhere, and I don't want to scare you. I know this stuff freaks you out and you'd rather not deal with it, but listen, there's more. There's more. There's more in there. I'm still gradually coming to terms with mine, and the fact that I'm, the implant behind my knee, it takes time, it's really something that a lot of people need time to come to terms with. And I understand that. That's why I would never push it on anyone. But I do believe.
Here, I'm going to tell you something I have never told anybody, okay? I've kept it pretty quiet. Well, I've told some people about when I was younger, I went to Colorado with the youth group. And I wandered off and disappeared for like 5 hours, 6 hours. I don't remember anything other than walking down a dirt road right toward the mountains, then just realizing I've walked a long time. And when I got back, 5 hours had passed, and I didn't think I was gone that long. Okay. After that, I noticed as I got older, I had these 2 large knots behind each ear where they started causing me headaches probably about 2 years before I got divorced. So I went and had them looked at, and there was these knots inside them. And it had a calcium buildup around them. So they went to cut them out because it was causing me such extreme headaches. Every time they got close to them, they moved.
Yes, and the doctors don't want to pick,
now they're right up against my skull, and they're afraid to mess with them because they're afraid they're going to cause me to go, paralyzed or something like that. So now I got these 2 huge knots right behind my ear.
Well, so 2 things. One is I'll never forget that time when tons of people in the stream randomly activated at the same time as you had extraterrestrials coming through your window or your wall there.
I don't know what they
and were. We didn't know what they were at first. I was like, they're ET, but they're presenting as shadow entities, right? What were they? They were tricksters. So, hey, Life with Bobby. So one other thing, the story you just told, I think I've told this story before, but I don't know why I didn't put it in my book about the Fae. So Garrett Mountain, Dave Schrader covered that in the Holzer Files. It's a place in Patterson, which is my hometown where I grew up here in Jersey. And we would always go there, me and my dad. There's big woods, there's hiking trails, places to ride your bike. And then there's a place called Lambert Castle, which is what Dave covered. So Lambert Castle is on Garrett Mountain. If you get to, my husband used to always take me there when I'd be overwhelmed, and we'd just look over the city, which Patterson, I love it. My heart's there, but it is a dumpy city. It's very ghetto. It's very rundown. It's very urban, lots of crime, drugs, that type of thing. But it's my home. So when I look over that city, I'm like, all right, I'm good. So my dad would always take me up there. And at one point, the castle was a museum. So I'll never forget, he took me, and my dad and I were like my 5.5-year-olds, and I am now, like, best buddies. That was it. Like, I always wanted my dad. My dad always had me around. He took me to work with him all the time. And if I cried and stomped my feet, I got my way, which is, that stuck through adulthood. What's no? Seriously. He just messaged me now. So anyway, we're hanging out, and my dad and I were just talking. We had ice cream, and I'll never forget, I saw a little boy, and I remember his ears were weird. I had to have been 4.5 or 5 years old at the time. I was used to seeing random little children, but this one had cute ears and he was sparkly. So I walked towards him. I took his hand and he walked me through the woods. And I don't remember much of it, but I remember seeing, do you guys know like the movie Avatar? I remember seeing a place that years later when I watched Avatar, I used to be obsessed with that movie. I actually had to stop watching it because it reminded me so much of the place this little boy took me. Anyway, he asked me if I wanted to stay there and play with him. And I said, no, I've got to get back to my dad. The next thing I know, I'm behind a tree jumping out saying, surprise, daddy. Like I had it in my head that I was playing hide and seek, but I knew that I wasn't. So my dad, it was dark outside suddenly. My dad was crying. There were police everywhere. And he's like, where were you? And I was like, I was hiding behind this tree. I wanted you to find me. And my dad knew I hadn't been there. And I knew I hadn't been there, but I couldn't say where I was. It was so weird. And it says, the adult in me said it was your vivid imagination brought on by tales. Well, listen, by tales from my half Cherokee granny, now I'm a believer. The adult in you, I think that's the training in you that those iterations that were told from the time we're little. There's no monster under your bed. Go back to sleep. I'm not checking your closet again. There's nothing in there. When my son told me that there were eyes looking at him through the windows and he was scared, I put curtains up for him. And then my mom reminded me of the time we were at Para-Unity and I showed them, like I felt something was around me, but I couldn't see it. So I snapped some pictures. In my window, the first picture I took, you can see the reflection that the bathroom light's on. There's nothing. The next two pictures, there are demonic faces, all types of really scary stuff. And my mom was like, Gemma, he's seeing things in the window, the same windows you took the pictures of. I was like, oh my gosh. Hey, Bat Mom, what's up, girl? Lately has felt like a blur. Life with Bobby, there's something going on with the time for sure. I don't care what anyone says. Something is happening. Yeah, there's more like 18 hours a day instead of 24 now. Time has sped up.
I have a picture, and I wish I never deleted it. When we moved on this place, it's in a rough neighborhood. I got stuck living for about a year but me and Giles moved in this place. It was not a good place, but it was cheap. And Puff started going, our dog started going nuts underneath this table that was by the stairway. I mean, Puff was freaking out. He's growling, biting all of his hair standing up on end. And he's barking, and he's looking right underneath this, like, little, it's a phone stand is what it is. It's like a half a round table where you put your phone. And the dog is just freaking out, growling and barking, standing in a aggressive stance. And so I went and grabbed the phone, and I started taking pictures. Well, me and Giles are going through the pictures, and underneath this table is his face going. I mean, it looked big, black, dark eyes and fangs, and it's just yelling. Stop. It looks like it's yelling at Puff. And Giles goes, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, we both had to really so bad. So I moved the table, wiped the wall down.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do? I wish I was allowed to have pets when I was younger. And I think that's one of the reasons people are like, oh, you can't trust people that don't like animals. It's not that I don't like animals. It's that I don't know how to behave around animals. When dogs start sniffing my butt, like I get mad because I don't know how to interact. I wasn't taught because I didn't have pets as a child. I had one hamster that used to walk on a leash down the street with me. I mean, and it lasted like 5.5 years before it went, dead, which is crazy because hamsters' lifespans are like 2 years tops.
Well, you won't know when the night that thing passed in front of me. Remember during the stream when the bunch? Okay, I don't know if anybody could hear it, but right before that happened, my toads were freaking out and singing really loud. Sometimes the mic picks it up and sometimes it doesn't. But they were hopping all over the tanks, and then that happened. I didn't realize that until it happened again a couple nights ago, but I wasn't in stream. I was sitting here And Dad goes, what's the black shadow on the wall being cast from? We thought it was the tank, and the toads on the tank just going nuts. And over in this corner here, you can't see it, but in this corner, up in the corner, was this black mass. And it didn't creep us out. Once again, I didn't feel scared, but it wasn't what was here that night. It was something totally different. And Dad goes, that's weird. Where's that coming from? So we turned on all the lights and it disappeared and never came back.
That mom says it's upsetting when kids say they are being abused or seeing things and parents don't believe them. The one person who's supposed to be their protector is not protecting them. It makes me sick. Here's the thing. You shouldn't wait until your child is at the stage where they're being hit or touched. Luckily, I'm very open-minded and I never dismiss what he says. I try not to encourage it because then my husband gets angry, but I'm always protecting in my own way the property in the house. I just don't talk about it now because I don't want to upset my husband, but I also need to make sure. But that's the indoctrination, right? And I don't know if it's done on purpose. I'm not talking conspiracy theories. A lot of people think it's done immediately when you're born on purpose to block you. I think it's just where we are right now in society. Many more people are opening up their abilities. Their third eye is opening. But I feel like we don't pay enough attention to our kids, especially the little ones. You know, when one of my sons was 3.5 years old, he used to talk about when he was the mommy and I was the baby. And I would listen to him and I believed him because I have soulmate connections with 2 of my children. I'm contracted with the other ones, obviously, but soul mated, actually 3 of them, because Damien is one as well. It's just, we've got to pay attention to little kids. There's no reason for them to lie. Now, people would say my son, because of what I do, would be able to think to make something like that up. Yeah. Listen, I didn't start doing this until long after he would say things like that. And I don't want to get too much into it with him because I promised his dad I wouldn't talk publicly about it. Right. But there are things, you know, and I just think we need to pay better attention to what our children are telling us. And listen, if they're making up lies about that kind of stuff, maybe it's an early interest in the paranormal. Maybe they're a little weird. I mean, we're all weird in here. We'll accept them. But I think 99.9% of the time or more, there's something happening there.
Yeah. Kids and animals are so open to this world, anyways. My granddaughter, you know, Rebecca, Ashley's oldest, that you said, oh, she's got gifts. Well, I lived with them for like 3 years, and she would sit in a bedroom and talk to somebody for hours. And I would sit in the living room and just listen, and she would have a full out conversation. So I'd go in a little bit later and go, so did you have a nice conversation? Who was you talking to? Oh, Pop. So that would have been her dad's father. He was nice, but Dad wasn't so nice. If you know what I'm saying.
No, I hear you. I know.
And she would talk to him. She'd say, I talked to Pop. That's why. And at first I thought she'd talk about my dad because I always called him Pop. And she goes, no, Daddy's Pop. And then I know who she was talking about. Yep. Well, one night I'm sitting there and Ashley's in bed, and all of a sudden we hear her laughing. So I get up, and she's standing. She climbed out of her crib, and she was standing in the living room, and she was waving, and she goes, bye, I'll see you soon. And I'm like, and she never did it after that. But Ashley says that she talks to people still to this day in her room, and she's preteen now.
And when you say kids and animals see these things, we lose the animals never do. That's what I believe. That's absolutely right. Animals come with that innocence of connection. They're not corrupted, so to speak, for lack of a better word. What's up, Roger? By society, right? Some of us don't lose it. And I thought my whole life it was a curse and there was something severely wrong with me. And now I realize I was meant to help people, even in the small way that I do here on YouTube. I feel like if I help one person, I'm good. And I do get people that'll say, you know, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you came from, but you popped up while I was driving to the spot. And, you know, this story touched me. That story scared me. I don't know why I felt the way I did, but I turned around and I didn't use tonight. because I listened to you. Or, you know, you've helped me with my abilities. You've helped protect me from that. Like, just the things people say. Sometimes I break down and like I cry because I'm like, okay, I'm doing the right thing by my contract, by what I promised the creator, who in my eyes is God. And you guys don't have to believe that. You know how I feel about that. But I'm honoring God by my work because I'm helping the collective. And that's the main thing, guys. It's about the collective. It's not about me individually and what I can do for you guys or what you guys bring to the table for me. It's about what we can all do to be our best, most high vibrating selves so that we can help the collective, the people around us collectively, to do the same. Bat Mom says you can usually tell the difference between a kid who saw something on TV than acts it out than when they really see things from TVs, etc. Or phase. The other stuff lasts longer. And I also notice it has a lot more detail. Like, how would my kid have known to say these specific windows that I it's not like I said, ooh, you know, son, look at these demon faces, mom, you know, like, and he had been saying it long before I even caught those images. I just never thought to put curtains on in the master bedroom because I live in the middle of the woods and my house is very far. Ghost Dragons, you saw it when we picked up my books that day. My house is fairly far off the road. So if you talk about a little house in the woods, that's my house. I'm in the middle of nowhere, you know. There are bear caves, fox dens. There's a babbling brook that runs through my backyard. I live in a beautiful area, but it does get creepy. The fawn woman, who still stands at the brook and stares at me. I am going to approach her one day. Someday soon. And I've already been told not to film it, but I may surreptitiously try, but that could also get me in trouble. Life with Bobby says, one time I was walking to church and seen a fox. We looked at each other for a few moments. I said hi and told it to stay safe and said, thanks for letting me see it. I'm weird like that. No, but you know what? That's not weird. That should be how we are, you know. Even if you don't want to talk to animals, there's nothing wrong with that. I got a lot of backlash, and to hold that thought, I got a lot of backlash when I said that one time when I was in Patterson, or several times actually, I heard cats meowing outside. There were thousands of strays, unfortunately, in Patterson. They have a real problem. I heard them in the alley, like by the house. I lived in the hood, right in the ghetto. So I look out and they're talking like a human. And I don't even, like, I cringe about even saying that I heard something like that because I sound like an absolute psycho. But it's true. And from what I've learned, the Lyran extraterrestrial race is the most protective of human beings. And they're the ones that mostly protect us from the militant entities like reptilians and all that. And the Lyrans are the cat people, right? So why not? Not approaching the deer woman. Here's what I've researched and what I've been told by several people. I have it in my head. I get a bad feeling about her. I don't think she's here for good business. So I'm like, I don't want to go near her. I've been told by pretty much, I think everyone who I've talked to about it has said she's friendly. She comes around either when you're pregnant, which I am definitely not, or there's an adulterous man. So I'm not saying there's an adulterous man in my home. I do have neighbors up the street, and there's something here that she wants. She can't cross the brook, but that's what makes me nervous about her, because I put the protection at the brook. That's our property line. And I feel like she can't pass that. But the protection was against evil, against negative entities, against. So I don't know why she wouldn't be able to pass through.
Some things can't cross water. It's part of the rules, especially moving water.
She's an elemental, and there's so much water back there. I just don't know. And that's why, like, I try to communicate through the window.
Maybe it's time to do a little bit more research on the entity itself.
Right.
Maybe I'll do some checking and see what I find.
Roger Blair says, I live way out in the woods. I'm 30 to 40 miles from the nearest town. That's the great thing about where I live. If you came to my house, you would think my house looks like a lake house, but there's no lake. if you came to my house, you would feel like you were completely separated from the entire world. But 15-minute or less, you're on a main highway and go, like we're actually very close to civilization, but we don't seem like we are. It's like our own little piece of heaven. I love my house. I love my property. I've always adored this house. When my husband and I were dating and he was looking for houses, he had like 3 or 4. And I remember seeing this one and just falling in love with it. And he bought it for me, like he said. And I just fell in love with it immediately, especially the brook. And it's just, I have a huge house. I'm lucky. But there's a lot that goes on in the woods that freak even me out. So.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I live right in the suburbs. I mean, I literally live right on the edge of Columbus, but I have the cemetery. Then there's nothing but woods. Then the Olentangy River. And then if I go maybe 15, 20 minutes north of here, I'm in nothing but country and forest. In fact, once you pass the 270 outer belt, and I'm now finding them here, there are mounds. I actually found a mound not too long ago right behind the cemetery. And I don't think anybody knows it's there. But I'm pretty sure it's a mound.
I'm looking this up because do you know what the Deer Lady reminds me of? In the 6th season of American Horror Story, Roanoke, I don't know how to pronounce this because it has that A with the accent on it, but I'll say Scathach, S-C-A with the accent, T-H-A-C-H, and I'm going to listen to how to pronounce that because that is what this thing reminds me of.
No, see, Bat Mom says it's not anything good.
Let me hear how to pronounce. Come on, guy. Skaha. 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 Okay, so that would make sense that she is like an Irish deity or Irish legend because I am half Irish. My dad is 100% Irish. My mom's 100% Native American, mainly Cherokee, some Iroquois in there. So it makes sense that she would be, my dad is also very much into his Irish culture. There was a lot of celebration when I was little around this time of year, around St. Pat's. Then that would make sense. Dear woman is not anything good. I don't think so either. But I'm wondering if she's really around for an adulterous man, which could be any man on this block, because we are all in our own patch of woods. I do have neighbors. They're far. I have the one guy next door and then everyone else is scattered. Yeah. So, end of March is when he saw the UFO. So I'll spell it for you. Slow motion. Hold on. Who is outside my house? So one time we were outside and the guys were fixing something on my neighbor's roof. And the one guy was like staring creepily at my house. And I just came out and I just stared at him. And he's like, oh no, it's my favorite house that like in the world. He's like, I always drive past that house and I love that house. He's like, I would love to walk through it one day. And I was like, just come back. We'll walk you through it, give you a tour, but never came back. So and that's the thing too. I just don't know. So I've also heard that she is Native American, but she reminded me of this thing that I just put in the, chat, which is a real entity. It's a real legend and it's Irish. And that's what she reminds me of. Irish. The difference though, it may not be because that thing, as far as I know, is not attractive to look at. This thing is the woman part of it is beautiful. Like I get a siren type of feeling, like either myself or someone around here is being lured. That's the feeling I get from her. Like, come closer. Do you know what I'm saying? Come closer, you know. I'm going to have to do some more research. I say it every time we discuss this on Tuesday, and I just like never get around to it. Squat talk. Slight pause between the two. Thank you. Yeah, that's what the other guy said, but he had an Indian accent himself, so it was harder to understand. She's related or a part of the little people in Cherokee. Might come back a lot without you. I'm gonna have to do some more research on that, because she does make me nervous, and she shows up a lot, especially now with spring, you know, being in the air. Actually, I'm able to have my window open today.
It's nice here too.
It is an interesting word. Yeah. Luring men. That's what I'm thinking. If she's here for an adulterous man, is she luring? And if you remember, if you watch AHS, which is the only show I watch religiously every single season, even if they stink like last season, makes me so mad. She did lure the lady's husband. That's kind of what she does. So, sounds like I'm choking.
Hellhounds are interesting things, because I'm pretty sure I saw a hellhound when I was in my young 20s. And I'm pretty sure that thing was what it was. It had like fire coming out of its eyes. It was freaky. And it moved really fast. And the guy I was with was like, what was that? What was that? And I'm like, I don't know, but it looks like a dog. And it had a real big tail and real long. And it zoomed around us. And we could hear a faint howl. And then it just disappeared. And then about 3 nights later, a guy up the street passed away. And it was freaky. I was how it all just found a place. But it was almost exactly 3 days later. They found him. He had moved on himself.
It's 61 degrees here today. It's beautiful, but it's annoying because, like I said, I have my window open, and as usual, someone is landscaping something. I live near no-build wildlife protected land, and the state or maybe the township has to take care of it, and that's what they're doing because it's a nice day. All right, let me write that down. Ani Yun with Sansi. I will. I'm going to look that up actually as soon as this ends, which I'm going to end in a minute, guys. I've got to use the potty. I've got 15 minutes of yoga. So you know what happened to the woman who's supposedly the deer woman? It was horrible. No, I don't. You know what I need to do, guys? I think I need to update my browser because I use Bing. And everyone says Bing, but it's not Google. And I think that's why I don't get as much information as a lot of you. Like if you Google something real quick, if I'm on my computer, it's Bing. And Bing's great, but it's not Google. And now when I first moved in here, we had a troll problem. Big time. In the closets, in the basement, outside of the house. It was really bad. And
easy on the words.
Oh, no, you can't say that.
Yeah, I can't. Now I'm trying to get.
I'm just deleting it. It's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I can't say that.
We had a really, just say assaulted. That's all. I had a really hard time with them. My husband was oblivious to them, which is good. It's okay, Bat Mom. It happens. Oh, real quick. I'm going to look up the legend. So do you guys remember the other night in Intuitive Oracle, I time out Smoochie, and I was kind of joking about it, but I was just letting you guys know, like, I really do have to crack down with stuff like that. It's not that I'm being mean. So you know that that stream is up now for limited monetization. Even with all that, they're still trying to limited monetize me, and they do that because someone is reporting me saying that I have inappropriate chats, which is why I told you guys we've got to crack down. It's, I don't even understand it because, if we're like, hey, don't talk about this, you guys don't talk about it. It's not even a big deal.
Right. Because they are cracking down, and now that you're in election season, it's going to get worse. But You know, I was downloading all those videos onto Rumble for you folks. So our new videos on Rumble for you now. Like 80 of them.
You get to watch me when I first started out. My eyebrows were all crooked.
Little everything. I kind of mix it up. Good. But you know, there was a bunch of your older videos that had yellow dolans. So we call them yellow dolans. This is when your money sign's yellow. We call them yellow dolans. Okay. There was a bunch of those older videos with yellow dolans.
I'm gonna have to go look so that I can request.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I put them on Rumble, and today they all cleared. They're all monetized. See, that shows you the difference.
I gotta hook my card up to Rumble so I can like get the money from that. Who would do that? You wouldn't believe the lengths people go simply because they don't like how I look. I've dealt with that my entire life, and it's not poor, pitiful Gemma. It's not like woe is me. They take one look at me and they're like, dislike the video, report the video, and they'll report it for any little thing. That's why in most of my shorts, the comments are left off. That's because people are commenting on my physical body, on my looks, on my voice, telling me to go off myself. People can be really hateful on YouTube, on the internet in general. Ghostdragonzw gets more hatred than you guys could ever imagine. People run him down and tell him that he doesn't have the right to be next to me on a stream. Like just these horrible things that these lower vibrational people do. We just blow it off. It upsets us sometimes, but that's why a lot of the times I'm not confident enough to leave comments on. But guys, I'm going to head out. Please watch the shorts. I think we had a great chat today. I overspoke a little bit, but I kind of always do that anyway. Email me if you guys need anything, or text me if you have my number, and I will keep you posted. I'll let you know tomorrow, by the end of the day tomorrow, about what's going on with Intuitive Oracle. All right. I will ask him tonight. So I love you guys. Have a great rest of your week, and hopefully we'll see you on Thursday. Watch the shorts.
I watch shorts all the time.